everyone, I am Anushka Rathi and today I will talk about a book that really caught my attention. Applications of Positive Psychology by Arpita Kakkar. This book isn't just for researchers or therapists, it's for students, professionals and parents, anyone who want to live with more purpose and positivity. In this video, I'll talk about what each chapter covers and I'll reflect on some key takeaways. Let's begin this journey into positive psychology and see how it connects to real life. Let's start with basics. The first chapter introduces what positive psychology really means. For a long time, psychology focused on problems like anxiety, depression, trauma. But what positive psychology asks, what makes our life worth living? Things like happiness, resilience, hope, and personal growth. Education is one of the most powerful spaces where positive psychology can shine. This chapter talks about building confidence, curiosity, and emotional awareness in students, not just academic scores. From gratitude journals to teaching optimism, these methods help students thrive inside and outside the classroom. What stood out to me was how much emotional safety matters in learning. When students feel understood and appreciated, their minds are more open to learning. Chapter 6 zooms into parenting. And wow, what a shift this perspective brings. Instead of only correcting children, positive parenting focuses on noticing their strengths, emotions, and efforts. When kids are encouraged for being kind, responsible, or creative, they internalize those qualities. The book talks about raising emotionally intelligent kids by creating a secure, nurturing base. Small daily gestures like listening patiently or recognizing efforts can shape a child's confidence for life. From home to office, this chapter explores how positive psychology can transform the workplace. It introduces the idea of psychological capital, hope, optimism, resilience, and confidence. When employees feel valued and seen, they are more engaged and motivated. Simple practices like acknowledging effort or offering growth opportunities go a long way. This chapter is a great reminder that productivity and well-being go hand in hand. Positive psychology isn't the same everywhere, and that's a good thing. This chapter shows how different cultures express positivity differently through values, relationships, and rituals. In some places, individual achievements matter. In others, harmony and community are key. The takeaway: there's no one-size-fits-all versions of happiness, and understanding cultural context makes psychology more inclusive. Human beings are wired for connections. Chapter 7 focuses on social support, the invisible safety net in our lives. From friends to mentors to communities, our relationship plays a huge role in our mental health. Positive psychology encourages strengthening these bonds through empathy, gratitude, and active listening. Honestly, it made me reflect on who my support system is and how can I show up better for them too. Positive psychology is still growing in research, education, workplaces, and policy. New tech, AI, virtual therapy, all can be used to promote the well-being. The message is clear. The future mental health isn't just about avoiding breakdowns, it's about building better lives. This book was a window into what's possible when we shift our focus from problems to potentials. Applications of Positive Psychology by Arpita Kakkar isn't just theory, it's a perfect toolkit for better living. If this book inspired you, I'd really encourage you to explore more from Scientific Publishers. And hey, don't forget to follow Scientific Publishers' social media accounts for more book updates, author insights, and mental health resources. Thanks for watching, and always remember, there's something good worth growing.